On today's show, it looks like we will have a new director for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Did Goose have twins? And, of course, there's 3 people in this image from Terminator 6, but how many are robots? Movie Talk starts right now. We just can't trust this 1984 world that we live in, especially when it comes to Terminator. Yes, I said 6, folks. This is the 6th Terminator movie, but the good news is it takes place right after Terminator 2, Judgment Day. I'm Mark Ellis. That is Jeff Sneider. And this is Mark Yodi Reilly of Ye Reilly Roundtable, your first appearance on the afternoon version of Movie Talk. I've been asking everybody all week, how is this experience comparing so far to what you were used to in the morning time?
Oh, well, it's great. Well, first of all, thank you for not firing me from Movie Talk. And I'm glad to be back
about
here.
That today.
That was a lot of fun. That was a first. There was some hot Twitter moments right then and there. I love the 4 o'clock hour. I think it's great that all the news we have on today broke today, and that we can. It's fresh. It's here. It is, and it's like the 6 o'clock news at 4 o'clock. We get everything right out there for a nice discussion.
That's a very nice sentiment, Mark Reilly. And yes, that's correct. Everybody watching us live, all this news happened today. And if you're not watching us live, don't worry. You can watch this at any time or listen on the podcast feed. Hope everybody enjoyed the Collider Town Hall that we did this morning. Yeah, I had to wake up again this morning to do the Town Hall. I moderated it. We had some of the Collider bigwigs here talking about all the exciting things going on. More on that in a little bit. Jeff Sneider, you seem like a guy who is very invested in your own work, your own craft. You seem to follow the Belichickian model of do your job. Did you watch the town hall? Did you see any of the fallout? Were you concerned that Mark Reilly got fired?
So I actually had a fire alarm go off in my apartment last night at 3 a.m.
Ooh, that's
so
fun.
I didn't get back to bed till 5, which means I slept in a little. I did not make it to the town hall despite you inviting me yesterday.
Handwritten invitation, my man.
So I missed it, but I still have a job, so I guess that's a good sign.
Ooh,
very good.
You didn't see 30 minutes in, did you?
Yeah.
Ooh, can we get that video queued up again?
Bring it back.
Key to all this is that, look, kids, if you sleep in late, chances are that gives you less opportunity to be in the office to get canned.
I think one of the YouTubers in the comment section is the one who pulled the fire alarm. That's what I think it was.
It was like the night before the big game. Pull the fire alarm, make Mr. Sneider miss his work date. But Mr. Sneider is here. It's 4 p.m. PST. I'm not sure what time it is where you're watching, but we're about to get into some very exciting news stories. The first one is a movie that we've all been talking about the last few weeks, and not for the reasons that we want to. We want to celebrate Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We want to get excited about returning cast, maybe new announcements, and of course, the director. Probably not going to be James Gunn. Now, Disney had fired James Gunn a couple of weeks ago, right around Comic-Con, for tweets that he had made a while ago. A lot of tweets with some really bad stuff in it. And then there was a fan backlash, predictably, and that backlash led itself all the way to a petition that was signed by the lead members of the cast of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And that led to some discussion, including here on this show, that maybe Disney's going to see this and say, we should rehire James Gunn. Maybe we acted a little erratic, a little quickly, and that does not appear to be the case. According to this new Variety article, one source close to Disney is saying that I don't see Disney rehiring him. Those tweets were so horrible, and Disney has a different standard than other studios. The article from Variety also notes that Gunn's firing was approved by Disney Studios chief Alan Horn, with his boss, the company CEO Bob Iger, weighing in on the final decision. Disney insiders say the company was not aware of the offensive tweets and was taken aback when they were, in fact, recirculated by a right-wing blogger. And Variety has also noted that although the actors were in support of Gunn, they likely can't leave Guardians of the Galaxy 3 without breaking their contracts. And that's something that we had a little bit of a debate on the other day. I believe it was me, Jeff, and Roca talking about that. It might have been Roca and Perry. I'm not sure all the panelists run together. I don't keep track of all my children. But Jeff, you've been following the story pretty closely, and I think that you were the most outspoken member when we had this discussion last week that James Gunn, whether he should or should not have been fired is one thing, but the fact remains is that he was fired and that Disney, in no face-saving measure, would they ever rehire him once they made that final decision to can him. And I think that particularly holds weight when you look at what this Variety article noted, is that Bob Iger and Alan Horn, the two biggest mouse ears at Disney, were both in on the decision. It's hard. I don't care what cast member signs what petition. It's hard to get them to go back on their actions from a couple weeks ago.
You guys have to understand out there that the cast or employees, they have no power. Someone like Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, those kinds of people, Tom Cruise, they have power. Chris Pratt has no power. Okay, he's locked into this movie. There's no getting out of it for him. And yeah, I just don't think there was ever any chance that Disney was going to go back on its word. Like, when's the last time that you guys can recall a corporation reversing its decision because of either fan outcry or its employees, wanted them to? Like, and keep in mind with this Variety article, first of all, like the quote that you read, like it was one person's opinion saying, "See, I don't think that this is going to happen. I don't think they can hire him back." That's just an opinion. It's not really a source or someone affiliated with Disney saying it. But here, this is what I want to bring up. 2 days ago, folks here at Collider brought this to my attention. 2 days ago, Variety said, sources say there has been a growing feeling that Gunn could be reinstated, especially because Marvel and Disney have been unusually radio silent on who could replace him since the firing. And they're like, Jeff, this is Variety saying this. I'm like, I understand that it's Variety, but it's also two younger, more inexperienced writers at Variety. And I mean, no disrespect to the people who wrote that article at all. But today's report came from two senior reporters at Variety. Their sources are much more in line with what not only that I'm hearing, but what I would thought from the beginning, which is just Disney cannot afford to reverse course on this. It doesn't matter what the cast says.
Yeah, and look, there's a news cycle that Variety, that us here at Movie Talk, that we all kind of abide by, and we can fall prey to it occasionally, where you want to get out whatever the latest news is, and it's hard. It's a really tough thing to want to vet sources properly and take the time. Jeff, you know this better than anybody, where you're worried about getting something out and you want to be first, but you also want to properly vet your sources. And just in terms of the cast signing the petition, as soon as I read the petition, I thought it was very well written. I thought it was nice that all the cast signed it. But I noted that day, and that was the first thing I thought about when I read it at a certain room in my apartment, which shall remain nameless, is that this does not say we're not doing this movie. This says we support James Gunn. This says that we want him reinstated. But if he is not reinstated, nobody on that cast is going to leave there. And Jeff, I'll do you one better. Even if they were a producer on the movie, like what Tom Cruise is on his pictures, or Brad Pitt or DiCaprio or Will Smith or somebody like that, I don't think that it makes good business sense for them to do it. And I'm a guy that was not happy that James Gunn was fired. I thought he should not have been fired, but the fact is he was fired by Disney, and this is a huge money maker, and this is a star-making vehicle for everybody, including the two guys who do a voice and aren't even seen on screen, that being Vin Diesel and Bradley Cooper. It's a great franchise for them to be part of. It makes them a crap ton of cash. So, Reilly, I was never in doubt on the cast coming back. I did think that there was a chance that James Gunn could come back, but not a good one. Does this surprise you?
No, it doesn't surprise me, and I'm the guy that alerted you to that Variety thing, because I still look at news. There's still a lot of things that I will do for Movie Talk, sure, but
you were fired from the show.
I was fired from the show, but I'm still here because I have things to say. No, I looked at that Variety article because it was sourced from another website that I was looking at, and I saw the clicked headline, James Gunn could be considered to come back, and like a lot of people, I was stunned they got rid of him. I think it's unfair that they got rid of him for old tweets.
And it is unfair.
It is
I will cede you
unfair.
that.
It's completely unfair. But when you just take that, yes, a but. But when you look at what Disney is doing, and no matter hypocritical or not, based on their past, it's a whole different company now. They are trying to do good by people, by the society we're in right now. He's not coming back. I mean, just from everything that was already said here, and you said it best, Ellis, the cast said they support James Gunn. They didn't draw that line in the sand and said, if you don't hire him back, we're not showing up to work, because contracts, a number of things. Contracts, the biggest. They will face legal issues. They could shut down the movie. They could walk. But then we're talking about lawsuits. We're talking about a lot of different things. And it sucks. It does. It sucks.
Right.
But I'm not
tough
surprised.
Situation.
It's a tough situation. But when I read that and I sourced it and I saw Variety and I went to you immediately because I do. I trust Jeff Sneider with his reporting.
Disney has no option here. They
have no option.
They had no option.
Yeah, and it sucks.
And
I look at this as like the biggest tragedy for a man that was making good on his...
He will be fine. I want to be clear about that. James Gunn,
I believe so.
I truly think will be absolutely fine in this town. And there's not a million. There's, I guess, how many other studios now? 5 other studios? 4 other studios?
Before Disney buys them
plus
all.
a zillion. You know, he has access to financing. James Gunn can put together his own projects at this point. He's not going to be hard up for work. He just won't be employed by Disney.
No, I think he's going to get a lot of phone calls, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
I think that there is a sentiment, whether it gets all the way to the upper brass of Disney is one thing, but there's a growing sentiment, or maybe it's been there since the beginning, is that James Gunn was wrongfully terminated, and not in a legal sense, because Disney had every right to make that decision.
Yeah.
And I'm freely pointing that out. But I also think that there's other people who would want to work with James Gunn in this town based on his talent. My question to you guys is, do you take Disney at their word that they were not aware of any of these tweets? I do, and for this reason. They may have been made aware of the tweets after he had already been hired on the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. But the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie came out a handful of years ago, so he was hired a year at least
today,
before
by the
that.
way. Today is the anniversary, I believe,
of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So if you have all of that, I bet they did not vet tweets back then, because I bet they did not care about Twitter or anybody's Twitter presence back then. We live in a radically different social media society than we did even 3 or 4 years ago. So I think Disney's going to change their hiring process for now. Do you see another director possibly not getting work because Disney's going to go into their back catalog of tweets and say, look, we love you. We would love to have you work on this Star Wars movie, this Marvel movie, this Disney original film, but we can't because we saw what you did on social media.
That you make a hell of a point, and it's a scary point. It's scary to think that Disney can now stop everything and go, before we hire you, give me your Twitter and look at this. I mean, it feels very Big Brother. It feels very like looking at tweets and wondering, is that going to offend somebody? Is that going to offend somebody? That might offend somebody, so sorry. We're not going to hire you.
But like that's what I face going out for reporter jobs. And
I know.
What we all face. So why isn't A-list talent or people like James Gunn? Why would they be immune to those standards?
Exactly. They're not.
Right.
And I think Disney, and to answer your first question, I think they absolutely knew about these tweets because there was a big article that came out, and I read the Hollywood Reporter that did an article about these tweets years ago when it surfaced, and he apologized then. And he was still given the job for, I mean, I don't understand how they could miss that portion of it. You could say, well, it's because even back then is different than now, than exactly what you're saying, Ellis. It's a different time we're living in right now. And Disney was faced with a very hard decision. They were in a lose-lose situation. They're going to lose their director that created $1 billion franchise that people love, and they're gonna, and then they look at these tweets, and you cannot look away from those tweets and say, yeah, it's just a joke. Those tweets are awful. They are. They're absolutely awful, and they made the decision, and whether you like it or not, it's here to stay.
Yeah, the chapter's divided on whether they think Disney knew about the tweets, and one person, James Diesel, has an interesting question. He says, does anybody think that a DC movie would snatch up James Gunn? I mean, is that a way to take a shot across Disney's bow, or are they just hiring?
If I was a Warner Brothers executive, I'd call James Gunn. I'd have no problem hiring him to do a movie, particularly knowing that he is changed and he is a different guy than the guy who made those tweets long ago. You just have to understand, and what kills me is the way that the press and all the blogs have been writing about this. It's from a fan perspective. It's this wishful thinking, and they're just not looking at the situation like adults. I think that Disney, the employees at Disney, not just the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy, but the employees of Disney have to feel like, it's a safe space. They don't want to work with a guy who's making pedophile and AIDS jokes. So, you have to take into those concerns into account as well. But I don't think DC will have any problem hiring James Gunn or anybody else. Maybe James Gunn directs a Fast and Furious movie. I don't know.
Wouldn't that be fascinating? Yeah. Wouldn't that be fascinating that a huge studio hires him, which I agree with you. I think it could happen. And what does that say to Disney? What does that say about the bigger picture, about what the society we're in now? It would show, at least to me, that those studios would be like, yeah, he did that. He apologized. We forgive him. We're going to put...
He didn't do it under their watch.
Right.
That's
right.
Essentially would be the difference. What was just so funny to me is that Variety story from a couple days ago saying, well, Marvel and Disney have been unusually radio silent about who could replace him. Like, it was like 2 or 3 days later. Give the situation some time to simmer down. They still need to bring in directors, set meetings.
Yeah,
like,
they have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, like, you have to hear other people's takes and stuff. Iger's on vacation. I just don't know how people read into that. Well, how are there no names being floated yet for a replacement? He must be coming back. Like, what?
They probably, I bet they're personally, I think they're eyeing somebody, like laser focused eyeing somebody right now, and it's just whether or not they can.
I think it's going to be somebody outside the MCU. I think it's going to be a newcomer. I do not think that it'll be Taika or
Yeah, I was referring to
somebody.
Taika. I think Taika is just a perfect fit.
That's just a guess. You're right. He is.
Yeah, he's a perfect. But you might be right too. I could see them, Disney being like, you know what, we need to go outside the MCU. And maybe they can turn it and they can bring in a female filmmaker and just do like boom, here you go. Or they could do something that really pushes the conversations. What they're trying to do is to show that there's no tolerance. Like, we're trying to make good. We're trying to set an example. So do something good by bringing in maybe an up and coming filmmaker or somebody to take a chance on, like they did with James Gunn.
Somebody that Kevin Feige probably interviewed to do the Black Widow movie.
By the way, where has his name been in all of this?
Is he being unusually radio silent?
Yeah, because
I think that he's appropriately just been like, all right, I'm just gonna let this dust settle, and I do not blame him.
No, nor do I. I'm just saying it is particularly curious. Obviously, he reports to Alan Horn and to Bob Iger. So, but yeah, that decision was taken out of his hands.
Yeah, but there's certain times at offices where, and I know this better than anybody at Collider, is that there's meetings that people have,
right.
And sometimes you're invited to meetings, sometimes you're not invited to meetings, and sometimes you think you're going to a meeting, then other times it's like, oh, well, no, it's just us talking about this. And I think that Kevin Feige might have been like, am I in this meeting? No? Okay, I'll go grab lunch. But I think Kevin Feige's in those meetings now. Because they're talking about the next step for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And I think that they're talking to Kevin Feige. They're saying, hey, who do you like? Who have you talked to? Who is a candidate for a job that just didn't quite cut the mustard or wasn't available for whatever reason? They haven't worked on an MCU film yet. Who can we bring in that you like?
I think you're going to see a mass movement away from Twitter, though. I think that the Hollywood community, because it has so much to lose.
Yeah, Michael Rooker's already jettisoned his Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're going to see a lot of filmmakers and actors leave Twitter because the downside has now become greater than the upside.
Yeah.
The chat room's been really good about this too. This is great when so many people watch us live in the afternoon. So everybody's had their coffee, and maybe we're a little nicer. Maybe the chat room isn't quite as ornery as they were in the morning time sometimes. So we have Zeno Hour saying that Man of Steel 2 needs a director. Okay. We also
Man of Steel 2 is not a real movie. Man of Steel 2 doesn't need a director because it's not a real thing.
Okay.
Hey, now, hey.
Please, he's sitting right there.
Just, come on. Know your audience, and it's me.
Another fan, Greg Camp, says that James Gunn should direct Suicide Squad too.
Oh, God, no.
I think that's okay there. And
that's Gavin O'Connor anyways.
So Cute has a comment that says, I miss when movie talk was fun. We're having fun. We're having fun. We had some chuckles. And it was a serious story.
These are serious conversations that demand serious these are serious topics that demand serious conversation.
Don't worry, we're talking about Terminator soon.
We still had fun. We're actually going to talk about Terminator.
We're going to talk about Terminator, and that will be fun.
We're trying to entertain you, but also educate you guys and make you sound smarter. Because judging by the YouTube comments and half the stuff I read on Twitter, none of you know what you're talking about.
All right, well, that's probably going to get some buzz in the chat room.
Go for it. I already get the buzz. I get the hate every day. Why? You don't like what I have to say? I'm just telling you what it is really like in this industry, okay? That's the only goal.
See, that was fun for me.
See, what I'll say is that
was really fun.
People always hate when you say, "Oh, just nice things about Disney." And it's like, "Oh, this," and then there's diversity of opinion, and it's like, "Well, look."
I'm just sick of it. I'm literally sick of the YouTube comments talking about me and how I don't know what I'm talking about. Yes, I do. Listen, open your ears.
I'll vouch for that.
You're still a young man. When you reach the advanced age of me, you're going to develop this emotional callus, and it just feels so good.
Can't wait
barb's
for that.
thrown at you, and it just, bing, they bounce off, unless it's a So Cute, because I bet So Cute is very nice in person. Our next story is something that's sure to entertain the masses, and that would be a glorious first official image of Terminator 6. Not still sure what to call this movie, but we know it's a direct-ish sequel to Terminator 2 Judgment Day, kind of forgetting about those other movies that came since. And yes, you will notice there on the far right of the picture is none other than Linda Hamilton, back as Sarah Connor. We also have Mackenzie Davis and Natalia Reyes in the shot, and this is an exciting look, or is it? I think that we've seen images from the set of Terminator 6, and I've seen pictures of Linda Hamilton on set in her costume looking like Sarah Connor, and I think that those images that weren't touched up or photoshopped, you see that? Now, see, that's a badass grandma that can still shoot some robots. This glorified, it just looked over touched up to me, and for the first time, this movie had been getting some positive momentum. You hear Tim Miller's involved, Arnold's going to come back, they're going to get rid of all those bad Terminator movies that we didn't really care about, and it's going to be a direct sequel. And then you see an image like this, Reilly, and it dampened my enthusiasm just a little bit, because you had all this time to give us a first official image that really looks awesome, and this one, it just looks a little meh to me.
Yeah, it's because you've seen this before. I mean, this has been every Terminator movie. They do this. They send out a picture that's photoshopped and official, and they're all cut from the same kind of cloth. Like, here's your post-apocalyptic world run by Terminators, and look, Linda Hamilton looks phenomenal as Sarah Connor. I always say I love her. I can't wait to see her back.
It's very Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween.
Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween. We're following that nostalgia kind of fueled, pick up from the last movie and get rid of all the other movies. That's now a trend. I'd pay close attention to the box office of Halloween and now this Terminator, because we might see that with some of our other horror movies, maybe even other franchises, but that's beside the point. If I'm just going to judge this image, I'm not impressed. They've done this so many times with the Terminators, like fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, Terminator Jenny Smith, whatever that is. Mm-hmm. You show me these images and you're like,
but be honest with me, okay? Is there something that they could have put out today in just one single frame that would have gotten you really excited? I mean, that's the problem when you have a first image. It's like, yeah, it's your first image, and maybe that's why I don't like when studios release these so far ahead of getting a trailer.
Well, the thing that I don't like from official images is when they like, okay, stand there to the right. Okay, now everybody look pissed. I like an official image from the actual movie where they're either doing something, you see the costume, you see the environment, you see like you get a little bit of taste of maybe story. It's like maybe you have Linda Hamilton like looking up and there's, Arnold's Terminator standing above them looking, and you have those other two, and it's an action scene and you can get a little bit of feel for the story. This, again, it's photoshopped, it's staged, it's here you go, right? Is that going to do anything? And it doesn't. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work for me.
Jeff, I'm going to go out on a limb here and I'm going to assume something about you, which you should never do, kids. I'm going to say that Jeff Sneider doesn't really care about first official images all that much. Am I warm? Am I in the stadium?
Yeah, I don't really put a lot of stock in first look images. I agree with Reilly. This one doesn't look particularly good. I think I've been writing about Mackenzie Davis longer than literally anyone on the planet, and I adore her, and I think she's a fabulously talented actress. I don't know if this is the right role for her. I think the markings on her body obviously invites questions and speculation, but to me it just looks a little goofy.
Is it a robot? Are we looking at a robot?
Is it a cybernetic implant? Is she a hybrid of some sort?
Does she have a heart transplant?
I don't know, but it looks silly. Linda Hamilton, who's Sarah Connor, is one of the iconic female badasses of all time. Maybe even the most badass female performance in the history of cinema. I think she looks like my grandma here. And her aviator glasses can't get any bigger. Like her whole face could just be like giant aviator glasses.
Okay, you like aviator glasses. Wait until the next story we get to. We're not there yet, but it's about Top Gun.
Here's what I would have done though, Mark. I go to see Terminator movies for Terminators, and I want to see Gabriel Luna. I want to see his take on what a Terminator is, what he looks like, whether you see half Gabriel Luna's face and half of a
cyborg.
Yeah, exactly. A metal skeleton underneath. I don't know, but you're right. This looked like a super staged, photoshopped thing that does nothing for me.
I'll tell you how they could have really gotten old Mark Ellis out of bed with this pick. And it's not Terminator. It's not some big action set piece. It's that they hired a young kid to play John Connor because, again, this picks up right when the other one left off, or at least closely following those events. So there's rumors that what they might be doing is doing some sort of face swapping technology with the young Edward Furlong to put his likeness on this other kid. I think his name's Caleb body.
Wow.
So it's like, if you can give me a first image that looks like Edward Furlong at 10 years old next to Sarah Connor, that's interesting. But when you look at this, she's much older. So where is John Connor? Is he still there? Are they just going to try to incorporate that in? So I'm just very confused, curious what the fate of John Connor was between the end of Terminator 2 Judgment Day and the beginning of this movie. But again, this is all we have to go on right now, and it's the first image. And I know we're complaining a little bit about it right now, but once we see those Terminators on the trailer for the first time, we'll probably be happy.
Oh, yeah.
That they were not revealed to us in some, BS publicity pick. But that one, it's not the best effort I've ever seen.
I don't know why they keep doing this. I mean, I like when the Terminator Genesis trailer came out, I got a lot more excited. I went, oh, cool. This looks great, because what do we have to go off of in that scenario? Same deal here. They release an image and you're like, God.
I don't feel the James Cameron in this photo. That was the whole.
I don't feel any. But again, it's like, I don't know why they need this now, because I've seen it kind of, some great person who on Twitter tagged us and said, this looks like an album cover here, and they put the font of an album cover, and I'm like, that's funny, that's great, and that's what it looks like. Why would the studio put that out there and go, and then have a little bit of the backlash when you can maybe put out like an official image of the actual movie and or a trailer to get us hyped? Because the cast, the crew behind the scenes is what gets me excited. This doesn't.
I think they should take a rule out of my book when I take a couple pictures and look to put them on Instagram. I'll look at the photo shoot that I just did, or if I had somebody take pictures of me on stage or something like that, then I'll look at them and I'll say, oh, that's the best one, and I'll post that one. Or I'll look at them and I'll say, I look horrifically fat in all of these pictures, and I will not post any of them. Maybe you do that with the student. Maybe you say, hey, here's the 10 pictures that we could release as the first image. You like all of them? Yeah? Which one gets the vote? None of them get the vote? All right. Don't worry about it. We'll just wait until the trailer comes out, and that's going to be the first look at Terminator 6. Regardless, we know that the movie comes out in November of 2019, November 22nd to be exact. So set your watches accordingly. I want to remind you guys once again that we had our Collider Town Hall earlier on today. Whole lot of announcements, whole lot of breaking news. We had some special podcast talk, and one of those shows is engineered by a young man who is currently up here on the panel. That is the Reilly Roundtable. So you guys can check out all of our podcasts and at Podcast One, Apple Podcast. And Reilly, I think one of the most exciting things about the town hall today was not only the fan participation, that was a lot of fun to do, but it was also interesting to have everybody say, where can we go check out these new shows, these new channels, right? The Collider Sports, Collider Games, Collider Quick, Ryan's Wrestling one that we just acquired. So you guys can check out links to all of these in our vid's description right here. That's a nice gathering and meeting place for all of them. Explore, subscribe, do what you will with them. Reilly Roundtable, new episode dropping soon?
I had to push it until tomorrow because my guest wasn't available to record in the time that I needed to get it out today. I put it out on Twitter. They know who it is. It's Tom Dagnino. He's coming on the Reilly Roundtable.
Shocked that he was late.
Big get.
We are going to record tonight. That will be up tomorrow. Oh boy, it's a little announcement at the end there, but man, having Tom Dagnino on, I have no idea what to expect. In fact, I'm scared.
When are we getting a sequel, Reilly?
Sneider's episode of the Reilly Roundtable is now the second highest rated of the series.
Ratings, Dagnino.
Only behind the but the Jaws commentary that I did with Dan Merle.
With Bruce.
That's the highest so far. I urge you to check that out if you do love your Jaws like me and Dan Merle do. Sorry, Ellis. You weren't available.
I would say that Jeff Sneider works almost as hard as Bruce the Shark did on the set of Jaws.
Sure does.
We move on to our next
just
story.
as often too.
And I wish I had some aviator sunglasses to put on, because Glen Powell, who was being looked at to play the role of Goose's kid in Top Gun 2 Maverick, is cast in Top Gun 2 Maverick, but he's not playing Goose's kid. No, he's going to be playing another role. He went in, and I guess he wowed him so much, and Glen Powell's a known actor around Hollywood, that they said, we want you for this role. maybe another hotshot pilot, maybe somebody else who's flying the drones around, along with Miles Teller, who was ultimately cast as Goose's kid. The Glen Powell news also comes with some other cast kind of descriptions that you have. Is that right, Jeff Sneider?
Well, so yeah, I mean, I have a list of characters, like a breakdown for the script, I suppose, and so this is pure speculation. But there is in the report, Powell's character is being kept under wraps, and it led people to think like, oh, is he Iceman's son?
Is he Slider's kid?
I don't even know that Iceman's son is even in the script or
What
whatever.
about Merlin's kid?
Could be Merlin.
Maybe
have
it's
lost
Jester's
me.
kid.
Why does everybody need to have a kid? I'm not going to have a kid. It's okay.
You're way too young to make that call, sir.
But there's a character named Slayer, and this is the description. Slayer was born to be a naval aviator, and he knows it. He's a cocky, self-righteous, and incredible aviator to back it up. He's used to being hated, envied, or worshipped, and he doesn't care as long as he gets to fly. That, to me, sounds like a character that Glen Powell could play. It is a decent-sized supporting role, and it sounds like from the THR story that they're going to beef up whatever role he got. They're beefing that character up for him because Tom Cruise really liked what he saw. I think that this is a win for the internet and for Twitter in the exact way that the James Gunn stuff is not. Like, Disney is not going to listen to your cries about James Gunn. It seems here that Paramount, Bruckheimer, and Tom Cruise did listen about all the outcry surrounding Glen Powell, who's really hot right now, coming off of Set It Up, and they gave him, they're beefing up. They found him a role, and they're going to beef it up for him.
And he also looks a lot like Goose's kid, so maybe some of that Twitter fervor was just because it's like he's so relatable to Anthony Edwards. Why can't he be in the movie? Now he's in the movie.
I'll kick it to Reilly in a second, but I really think that they made the right call. But we get both actors in there now, Glen Powell and Miles Teller. Miles Teller is just more sympathetic than Glen Powell is. I really believe that. I think that you're going to root for Miles, and given what I know of that character, yeah, you're going to need to.
Yeah.
Mark Reilly, you Jeff Snyder's wingman in this regard.
Yeah. It's a great. I'm very happy that I think it's a little bit of both that they listen, but I think that from at least that report is that they liked him so much that they really wanted to include him in the movie, and they beefed up the part, and that's just awesome to hear for an actor. It's awesome to hear for fans of an actor that are like, wow, it's such a great Hollywood story to go in and audition for something and you didn't get that part. But then they're left thinking, going, wow, but look at the reactions. Look at this. We loved him. What can we do? And you do a little rewriting and you get, maybe it's Slayer. Perfect. I love the name. I think the name, the call sign. I can't wait for the call signs in this movie.
The call signs are going to be fantastic.
The call signs are going to be great.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I love from Top Gun is like when I was little, who are you? I'm Maverick, Goose, Merlin, Jester, whatever.
It sounds like Miles Teller's call sign has changed a little bit. The last one that I heard was Rascal.
It's not Duckling.
Duckling.
I wanted it to be Duckling or whatever the goose, maybe the Gander.
I think it was Riot at one point, but
Riot.
I think I've heard.
They can't do Riot
Rascal
because we
most
just had
recently.
Venom trailer.
Yeah,
so.
well, you could just go strictly by metal bands. So Quiet Riot, Slayer, those all. Is
Winger.
there a Maiden?
They should
Is
just
there a
call him
Winger?
Miles
Winger's
Teller.
great.
You're really massaging the definition of metal there, but I'll let it pass.
Well, yeah, Winger. That Miles Away song, though. I mean, that was a woo.
Y'all could be naval aviators and have your own call sign.
Ooh.
What would your call sign be?
I know mine.
In Sneider?
No.
What do you got?
Candy.
Candy.
Yep.
Okay.
Candy.
Is there any backstory to that?
My dad was in the candy business. I grew up. I'm the heir to a candy fortune.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I'm glad we're friends. But you got to know this, that everybody else on
Small
that base
fortune.
is going to be calling you Candy Man. They're not going to just call you Candy. They're going to call you Candy Man.
Right.
So get used to
my
it.
dad's the candy man. So yeah. Anyways,
Candy
never
man.
mind. That's
I
neither here
love
nor
that
there.
that's how you
I love
calm
that.
down a room full of students. Like, please, kids, Candy Man is my father.
Yeah,
You can call me
my
Candy.
flying skills are sweet.
That's so funny.
Mark Reilly, you got to beat Candy. What do you got?
Oh, God, I don't know. How can I beat Candy? I mean, that's a good one. I don't know. What do you guys think? I go immediately to everybody's probably saying Yodi, but
You can
that
be
definitely
Kal-El.
Ooh, Kal-El.
Jor-El, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be Carrots.
You're going to be Carrots?
I'm gonna be
All
Carrots,
right.
yeah.
Kal-El. I like Kal-El.
Yeah.
That'd be good. But
All right.
it's like, that's I want something cool like Jester or Merlin or Maverick or Goose was like poor Goose.
What about Hammerhead?
Hammerhead? Yeah. Like a shark.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. Gray White.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
it's better than the Meg.
Great
The
White.
Meg.
That sounds. Doesn't
awful.
sound good.
Not good.
Oh, that's Great White over
Hammerhead.
there.
It's another band, though.
Gray White's another band.
We're doing it.
Hammerhead's good. How about Thresher? Ooh. No.
Right,
Sure, I'm going the Shark Week route.
Yeah,
here.
once you hit nurse, I think it's time to move on. But I would love to hear
Whale
from
shark.
the chat room. What should Reilly's call sign be? We'll reveal more at the end of the program. But we have one more story to get to. Then we're going to save some time for your live Twitter questions. So go ahead and start tweeting us right now at Collider Video. Use the hashtag Collider Movie Talk, not Collider Town Hall, and we will answer some of those. And if you have any suggestions for Yodi, if you think he can upgrade his call sign, let us have it. Our last story involves two A-listers right now and of all time. Nicole Kidman and Margot Robbie. They're both in talks to join Fair and Balanced. That is the name of the movie that's going to be an expose on ousted Fox News chairman Roger Ailes. He was accused of a number of counts of sexual misconduct by a number of the anchors and other people that worked at Fox News. And it looks like Nicole Kidman is talking about playing former Fox News anchor Gretchen Carlson. Now, we already know that Charlize Theron is playing Megyn Kelly, and it looks like the role that Margot Robbie's being looked at is going to be kind of a hybrid role. They did this with Patriots Day, where Mark Wahlberg's character wasn't based on any one individual. It was more like an amalgam. So that's just that's up to the viewer to decide how you feel about those kind of roles in movies. But there's a lot of them. When you research them, they use those things a lot, and they're used to serve the story and kind of give you a portrayal as to what was going on behind the scenes. That would be Margot Robbie's character. Mark Reilly, I give you these two names. I think that this is a very interesting story to come out at this time.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, obviously, they lend some sort of clout to it. Does this movie premise interest you?
Yes, absolutely. I love any kind of movie about politics, behind the scenes, big stuff. You know, All the President's Men. I think about
Spotlight.
Yeah. I think about there's a lot of Patriots Day. Even mentioned any kind of true event that takes place, whether it's in politics or has to do in politics or a newsroom or anything like that, is such a great. I'm a history buff. You know, old or otherwise, or current events. The casting here is fantastic. You know, Nicole Kidman, you can't go wrong. Margot Robbie, you can't go wrong. Charlize Theron. They're going after the big guns for this. Fair and Balanced, fantastic name for the movie. This is everything I want to see this. It is very important to put this movie out, especially nowadays. I mean, this is an interesting time. This is going to be an interesting movie.
Yeah, Jay Roach is going to be directing the
Perfect.
script that is going to be from the Big Short screenwriter, Charles Randolph. And that's interesting because the Big
Yes.
Short I thought was a fantastic examination of the financial collapse. And, you know, Jeff, I look at a movie like The Post as a film that's a historical, backgrounded movie that was a lot of controversy around, obviously a different controversy, but that was also in a newsroom setting. And I was already interested in the source material. And then you gave me Spielberg, but you also gave me Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep and an incredible supporting cast. That's what we're looking at right now for Fair and Balanced. Do you think this could be an Oscar contender like The Post and Spotlight were?
Yes, no, it certainly has the pedigree, given, you know, two Oscar-winning actresses in Nicole and Charlize, plus Margot, who's no slouch. She probably should have won last year for I, Tonya. You know, to me, it feels like an HBO movie, like Jay Roach's other films, like Game Change and whatnot. So I'm very curious how this will fare as a theatrical release. You know, I realized, you know, The Big Short was a good movie. I didn't love The Big Short. I didn't love The Post, so to me, that's just the vibe that I get from this film. Is
Not
that
enough Legos in it for you?
Yeah, it's not that I don't want to see it because I'm interested in it, but I'm not terribly excited about it because I feel like we get enough of this in the news. Like I don't need to go see a Roger Ailes movie. Plus, we're getting the Showtime miniseries anyways.
It's a great point you make, though, because you have this. You also have a Weinstein movie that's in production.
Like
there's an expose of that. Is there an appetite for people? Because look, part of us wants to know the sordid details. You see news stories break, and you investigate them a lot the first few days, and then you just feel overwhelmed and inundated with it. And a lot of people feel that way about most political stories that come out. It's a hot button issue. It's a huge headline, and then you just get lost in all of the tread that accumulates on these tires. So, do you think that audiences, Reilly, are going to respond to this movie and want to go see it, or are they just going to be like, I don't want to go through this again?
I think you could look at the political climate now and the divisiveness that's out there. There are probably going to be people that might look at this and go, no, that's not going to be fair and balanced. I'm going to walk away and not watch this movie. That's I think, what's happening in our society today. It's your taste. Again, I said I love history. I love these current event movies because it puts it in a neat bow for me. It takes all the big ticket story items, and it puts it in a narrative that you can follow. And I like that. I eat it up. It's like I get to see from, oh yeah, I remember reading about that. And especially in today's news cycle, you are reading constantly new updates. There's a lot of stuff happening out there, politics aside. If you don't follow what's going on in our world today, it is very, very interesting and scary. And so if you look at this, I'm interested. I want to know that side of it. I want to know what they have to say. When you put it those three actresses that are phenomenal, and yeah, I agree. Tanya, maybe she should have won. I loved Margot Robbie in that movie. To see her as an amalgam of a character that's going to probably be the audience, going to be her. It's going to be from her point of view. I think you can do no wrong with this casting. I don't know if people are going to show up for this in droves until we get, if there is going to be an Oscar campaign. We'll see it. We'll see the reviews. We'll see the trailers, and we'll be able to make better.
The interesting thing for me on this is the positioning of it. So I had these castings and was actually going to drop them this morning myself.
I felt bad for you.
Yeah, like I told Reilly yesterday.
I know.
Tomorrow morning, I'm coming in. I'm dropping this Nicole Kidman story because I'm pretty sure I got it.
Yeah.
So when I went to them though, to Annapurna to fact check some of this stuff, they wanted to be crystal clear that it is not a Roger Ailes movie, because I called it that. I was like, I hear these Nicole's in talks for the Roger Ailes movie. It's not the Roger Ailes movie. This is the Women of Fox News movie, and it's you're going to see the industry shift to that positioning on a lot of these things. What was the email subject line for the Terminator photo or whatever? You know what it was? The Women of Terminator.
Right.
Okay. Charlie's Angels movie we had news on. Little Women we've got news on. There are all these big, female projects, and that is the angle that they're really going after. So part of it feels a little exploitative, like trying to take advantage of the moment in this movement. I don't want to call it that, because would I have called Patriots Day that? No. But there's something about these projects that rubs me the wrong way. That said, they're coming together great, and I guess I wish Annapurna luck with it.
Yeah, and I do wonder if the success of Spotlight, I think that had mostly to do with the fact it was such a good film. It was so critically acclaimed, and it was nominated for awards, and that's when movies like that start picking up box office numbers. Because honestly, I saw Spotlight very early on, and I did not know what it was about. I knew Michael Keaton was in it, and that's it. And I wanted to see it because of Michael Keaton. And then the story obviously blew me away about the Boston Globe exposing the Catholic priest scandal. And so had I known that it was about that going in, I wonder if that would have painted my viewpoint as even a viewer who wants to relive all this stuff. So this particular is a property that I'm interested in, because I do care about the Women of Fox News a lot more than I want to see Roger Ailes be the center focus
who would
as
you
this
cast?
monster. As Roger Ailes?
As Roger Ailes. Ugh. And Russell Crowe's off limits because he's already Ailes in the Showtime series. Is there anybody
That's
who
right.
comes to mind?
Right. Yeah. You know what? I don't know anybody offhand, and I don't necessarily want to brand anybody as like you.
Yeah.
You would be a great sexual predatory monster.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. I want to let the casting speak for itself. You got anybody in mind, Reilly?
Tom Hanks.
Do you know?
Tom Hanks.
Do you know?
No, I know who they went after, but that person wasn't available. I'm not going to say their name because it's not fair to them.
No, I say Tom Hanks because he can put on, if you kind of...
Dude, do you think Tom Hanks can play a creep like Roger Ailes? I know he's a great actor, but
and I want to see that.
See that.
I'd like to see Tom Hanks go down and dirty, man. Just be a,
Believe me, that would be a huge get for this movie.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen. But it's the first
Paul
name that popped
Giamatti's a name that has come up.
Paul Giamatti would
is exactly who I was going to say.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Oldman, given all the way he looked at Churchill, he looked a lot like Roger Ailes.
Yeah.
I also think if you look at Toby Jones and how he portrayed Alfred Hitchcock, I think he could be put on a fat suit and play Roger Ailes.
I saw the name John Goodman a couple of times. I think he's just too jolly. I think we just love John Goodman way too much. Jeff, can I quickly ask you before we move on to live Twitter questions, just because is this generally a situation that happens when you have a scoop that you're about to break that other reporters in town probably have the same information, and
sometimes
how does it become a horse race? Do you know the clear finish line? Is it usually a case of a reporter jumping the gun a little bit, or
yes?
How does the information get disseminated so you get to publish this, you get to publish that?
Believe me, when I went back to Annapurna this morning to be like, what happened? They were like, well, Variety story is premature, but Sure, it's premature in the sense that the deal isn't done, but that's not what they're reporting. They're reporting in talks, and that's the way both were positioned, Kidman and Robbie. And so, Annapurna is just a studio that is particularly sensitive with regards to that stuff. It really is timing. This game that I do with Kroll and Boris and Fleming and everything, it's all about timing. So most of the time we do run into each other on things, but every now and then you do make the first call, and maybe you're the first call and they're ready to confirm something, as with Super Pets yesterday. And yeah, you get lucky. It really is a lot to do with luck and timing.
It's all about timing, says the guy who was 35 minutes late to the office this morning. That's our Jeff Sneider, and that's why we love him. I'll remind you guys that tomorrow on Collider Video, this very channel, you can look forward to Jedi Council. Jedi Council, it's going to be live. It's going to be live, so good luck, Christian. Knock those teases out of the park, as I know you will, sir, as well as your Seinfeld impression. 10 a.m. PST is when you can catch Jedi Council. Christian and his panel of experts talking all things Star Wars. Maybe I'll be back one day, or maybe I'll just sit at Denny's until the show returns to that location. We move on to live Twitter questions, and our first one comes from James Leon. And James Leon says, with the Disney-Fox merger a done deal, will we see a release of the non-special edition original trilogy of Star Wars? Is there a way that we can get those movies into the spotlight once again, or are we living with the special editions as the classic canon trilogy for all of time?
I would think that we're never going to see those. Yeah, I know. You don't want to talk Star Wars, Jeff Sneider?
The Force Vision.
Listen, I think
not all Star Wars fans have glass.
Even though Disney can grab Fox, and it's not a done deal yet. The shareholders have signed off on it. There's a lot more contracts to work out right now, so I would just caution that right now.
It's also tough for Disney because they're making movies that are in this new universe that is set in canon.
Yes.
And I know that nothing in the original trilogy goes too far against what we've already seen. I mean, there's like Han meets Jabba the Hutt in a scene that we see, but we knew he was already aware of Jabba the Hutt. That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But I think that because those are the versions that are now considered canon, it's hard for Disney, who is actively making Star Wars, or at least rumored to be making active Star Wars movies. They don't want to go back or try to release something that isn't technically canon.
I'd be interested to know what that contract was that George Lucas signed over and vice versa to get the rights, the $4 billion to get the rights. I'm wondering if there was a clause in there or something that said, no, you can't touch these anymore. Because that's Lucas. Lucas doesn't want those original cuts out there. He looks at the special editions as his true vision, whether we like them or not. So I wouldn't be surprised if, we're never going to see those again. I wish that was different. I do hold on to my old box set VHS copy that I want to sooner or later put through and get on Blu-ray or get on a DVD so I can watch it, because those are the movies I love. I don't like that Han didn't shoot first. I hate that.
That's the biggest thing.
That one sucked. Not only because I loved the character of Han Solo shooting first, but it just looks so bad. Like, the effect works. It just is like, it's just so weird to watch. It never syncs up. But that's beside the point. I just don't think we'll ever see those out there.
I have fond memories of the special editions because when you watch those for the first time in the late 90s, you knew George Lucas was working on a new trilogy, and you could see the new things in the original trilogy, and you could say he's back in the gym and he's tinkering. And at that time, it was the most exciting thing in the world to think of your favorite athlete getting back in the gym for another season of hopeful greatness. Whatever you want to think about the prequels, the excitement around them is something that you cannot replicate, and I will always cherish right inside my cold, dead heart. Our next question comes from Matthew Spencer, and he says, who wants a beer? Me. Your next question is from Asa Khan. And the question is, with the Game of Thrones spinoff set to start production next year, what spinoff would you like to see? I got one for you, and I actually got my wish today. I don't know if it's ever going to be a movie, but I know we're going to get another TV show.
Oh, my God, no.
It's coming back, ladies and gentlemen. No. Hey, Willie, I hate cats. This is going to be the greatest TV show of all time. Again, Alf is coming back, so I want an Alf movie. Spinoffs you boys care about.
Boy.
You're allowed to say Fantasy Island.
I would like to see, I don't know.
I know. I'm drawing a blank.
I'm surprised The Simpsons has not had a spinoff after all these years.
Yeah. Are we talking TV and then spinoff from that? Because it's Game of Thrones is technically
Game of Thrones is a television program, so I would stick within those boundaries.
Okay, so in television. Okay. Spinoff. I would love to see a spinoff, and I know we have Better Call Saul, but I would love to see what Jesse did after Breaking Bad. That would be really fun for me. I love the character of Jesse Pinkman. I love Breaking Bad. It's my favorite TV show of all time. It is. And I think a spinoff for what Jesse did to clean up his life or otherwise would be interesting.
Okay, Jeff, anything coming to mind?
Again, just this something with The Simpsons. I don't know. I'd watch like a Milhouse show or a Nelson show. Just like it's just season Nelson going
coming up Milhouse.
Yeah, I really don't know. I need more time to think about that.
All right, well, let's close this episode of Collider Movie Talk with
Oh God,
the handle
what's going on?
is from Average Jedi.
Oh,
But it's not a Star Wars question. It's a couple days ago was the anniversary of the Deadpool test footage when that footage leaked. And his question is, could that movie have been greenlit without the hype generated from that leak? Do you think that we would have gotten the Deadpool franchise as we know it? Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool, who Ryan Reynolds, bit of a risk. Back then, he really wanted to play this character, but he was coming off Green Lantern. Would we have gotten that movie? And that's maybe one of those situations where you actually thank the social media hype train for that test footage getting out and getting such a fan fervor that the movie was greenlit. Is that how the process worked in your recollection, Jeff Sneider, or was that just the way the fans choose to remember the genesis of Deadpool?
It's a fair question. I'll put it that way. I think that the fans may be giving themselves a little bit too much credit for that one.
How dare you?
Because I think Deadpool probably could have happened if that reel hadn't leaked. But at the same time, I can't deny that it helped.
I think it had a lot to do with the marketing campaign for Deadpool too. I think that the way that how viral that campaign was and how everybody loved all this material about Deadpool, I think that they saw what they had with the huge fan base for that movie, and they said, this is how we market this movie. Regardless of whether it was going to be made or not, they knew how to market that movie, and I think a lot of that is thanks to the test footage.
It's a marketer's dream, by the way, because you can bet every single marketing executive at every single studio would love to be able to try all the crazy stuff that Fox did with Deadpool, and they just don't have the properties that allow them to do that, or the bosses that encourage them to take those risks.
Yeah.
Mark Reilly, it was a good anniversary a couple days ago, huh?
It was, and I think the leaked footage absolutely helped. I think it pushed things along and greenlit the movie for sure. I think, would we ever have a Deadpool movie? Absolutely. You look at everything that's being announced right now, they're going to other comics that not a lot of people have heard about, that they're outside the DC Marvel. They're looking at Image, they're looking at Valiant, they're looking at properties because there is a genre that I believe is here to stay, and that is the superhero genre, and that you have to keep reinventing, you have to keep tinkering, you have to keep taking chances, and that ultimately we would have seen a Deadpool movie, probably maybe just not with Ryan Reynolds and the crew that brought it to us. So we're very lucky that it happened the way it did, because we could have for a Deadpool character. It could have been in the wrong hands. They could have done something that would have been a little bit harder, or they wouldn't have taken a chance on an R rating, and they would have kind of watered it down, and it could have been a one and done. So,
all right, well, we got our Deadpool, and that was the anniversary a couple days ago. I'll leave you with Stouffer Poppemer's tweet that Sneider can keep Candyman as his call sign. Riley's going to be known as Super Yodi, and I am actually going to take on the mantle of Jester.
Jester's
Kinda
good.
makes sense.
I like Jester.
Why does it make sense? Because I'm going to be at the Comedy Store in a couple hours. You guys want to swing by. And then Dragon Con Atlanta, I'm coming to you. I'm going to do some shows. Maybe it's at Relapse Theater. Maybe it's at Laughing Skull. Maybe it's at both. I will tweet out more info soon. But if you're going to be at Dragon Con, come see me do stand-up. Some of my drunk, idiot high school and college friends are going to be in Atlanta, too. So we're going to watch a lot of college football. It's going to be a silly good time. I would like to thank Jeff the Sneider, and Mark Yodi Reilly for joining me here. And as always, big shout out to our new producer, Perry Nemiroff, who got Mark Reilly fired. I don't believe that was on the teleprompter.
How dare you, Perry?
I am merely Mark Ellis. You're not fired. You're not going anywhere. Not with that beautiful hair, Mr. Reilly. We'll see you guys tomorrow for another episode of Collider Movie Talk. Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.